So today I'm going to show you how we've made some colony traps for muskrats out of some recycled material. So this colony trap is 5 by 10 by about 24 inches long. And what we made it out of was 2 airbag boxes. These airbag boxes are what airbag will come in when the manufacturer's, not a manufacturer, but like an auto shop is replacing an airbag. And we got a bunch of these boxes, these wire boxes from a friend of ours that was working at a dealership. So I'm going to show you some of the features on this colony trap that we like. First, you'll notice that it's tall. Most colony traps are just squares, like a 5 by 5 or a 6 by 6 or a 7 by 7. And that's great. When we made these, we decided we weren't going to cut it down to make it a square, so we left it tall. So one of the things you might notice, and it has a little shelf here, and we built that little shelf up there so that when a muskrat went in there, we want to keep our muskrats alive for training our dogs or our mink. And then we have this little spot right here where when the muskrat goes in, it can come back around here and it can crawl up in this spot too. And if it dies, it won't block the door from opening. You also notice that this door has this little flat spot right here that goes down next to the bottom. That way, if the muskrat comes back here, he'll tend to step on it first before he can actually come in here and maybe grab onto this and lift it up. It also has a nice handle for carrying it that's balanced. And oh, there's one other feature I didn't have on this one yet, but we've taken and made a little piece of wire to put on there you can hook onto there, and it would keep this open. Anyways, let's get started, and I'll show you how we make these. To get this project started, you're going to need some basic tools. First, you're going to need some side cutters to cut the wire. On this particular wire, we got some really good side cutters. These are pretty thick pieces of wire, or you can use a small set of like these wire cutters right here, bolt cutters. You'll need a pair of hog ring pliers and some hog rings. Okay, so you may need a pair of regular pliers and maybe some needle nose pliers. And that's about all the tools that you'll really need. And plus you'll need a good supply of maybe 100 small hog rings to put it all together with. And that's all I use for tools. Oh, you'll need a piece of wire to make the handle with, and so we're just going to use a piece of clothes hanger wire to make a handle with. I've used old buckets and just taken off the wire handle off the old bucket and used that, and those work really good too. So here's one of the boxes that we get that the airbags come in. It's pretty heavy gauge wire. It's actually chrome plated, and what we need to do is we need to first take off an end here and an end here and the end on another one so that we can put it all together. Alright, so what we need to do is I've got a grinder here, a belt grinder, and I just need to grind off these little clips here that are welded together. You can see that. Now, I was going to mention, where do I get these? Well, this, like I said, a young friend of ours was working at a dealership, and he was able to get these from the maintenance department. So if you have a friend that works at a dealership, or you're good friends with the dealership or a parts department, you could ask them, hey, what do your airbags come in? Do they come in these nice wire boxes? And you could ask them if they would save some for you, and then you'd come pick them up. Alright, so let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take these and grind these off so that we can pull this apart. Okay, now I got that taken apart, that was ground up. I'll take these off with a pair of pliers. Oh, so I just used some wire cutters and grab onto these and bend them and get them taken apart. So there's 1, 2. So I'll finish taking these apart and grinding with the other one apart. When I get these apart, I'll come back and we'll show you how we finish doing this and putting it together. Alright, now that we have these ends taken off, so I got the end taken off of this one and the end taken off of this one and one end taken off of this one. This is going to be the back end, and this kind of falls apart, so I'm going to put some hog rings in here just to hold it together. So I'm going to put one there and one down here and flip it over. Otherwise, without these ends, they kind of fall apart into little panels. And I'll put a couple on this one so it just holds it all together while we finish putting it together. Alright, so I got that partial box put together. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to set this aside, and I'm going to put in, as you saw before, we have a little shelf in here. This shelf is something that we want in there so that the muskrats have a place to climb up out of the water, because we want to keep our muskrats alive in our colony traps to train our hunting dogs with and train our mink with. And so we want a place for them to be able to climb up and stay out of the water, or at least be able to get to some air. So I'm going to start putting that in next. And what I want is, I just want like a square 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7. I want to put it right there. So the first thing I'm going to do is put some hog rings in there. So I'll get one started. So I can put it right there. And finish putting it in. So I'll put one right here. Here. So that we can get it going. And I'll put a couple hog rings in the side to hold it up and just kind of get it together basically, and then I'll go through and put a bunch of hog rings in there to hold it all together. So put one on that side and one here. Okay, the next step is we're going to join the two together. So I have this one, and we want to put it together like this. That we won't have to worry about cutting these off. But we're going to cut these off. Matter of fact, I'm going to do that now. This got these little clips. I need to have these out of the way so I can put the door in there. I don't want these things in the way. So I'm going to cut those off and grind them smooth. So in addition to having your cutters and pliers and hog reens. It helps to have some kind of belt sander, or if you've got a file, you can use a file to file these things down with, or like a little disc sander. That's done. So let's start joining this together. So I'm just going to join it together at the corners here to begin with. And then once I have it assembled, we'll go through and we'll put in a bunch of hog reins in it. So I'm just going to get it here. And we'll get it here. Put some in there. To make the door, the first thing we want to do is we want to put in this little piece that angles down from the top down. And all I've done for that is I cut a piece, one of these in half, and then we took and filed it down so it didn't have any sharp edges. And we're going to put that in. Oh yeah. What we want to do. The reason why we need the door to go this particular way is so that the wire on this angled piece and the wire on the door will hinge properly. I didn't explain that. And then we'll put in the... So we'll put one there. Bend this over now. I think we want it to come down 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, we want it to come down 4 squares here. And we'll put in a couple more hog reens, one on each side. You can see that. So we'll come down 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll put a hog ring in here. In there. We're going to put more on there as we finish putting it together. Okay, the next part is to put in a door. Now, if you use a door that's as wide as the rest of it, it's going to snag against things. So you can't do a door that's the same width. So we're going to take a row of these 3/4 inch squares off and then file and smooth it down and bend it, and then we're going to put it in there. So I'll show you how we're going to do that. So I'm going to cut this. Helps when you have really good pliers. If you buy a pair of electrician's pliers, and these are Klein tools, and these are 8-inch handles, it makes for cutting wire way better. But if you get cheap stuff that's made in China, it's never very good. And these are sharp and will last you a lifetime, and they're just super good. These are about 25 bucks compared to like 10 or 12. And you'll appreciate having a good pair of pliers. So I'm going to smooth this down, these rough edges, because I don't want it catching against the side there. Okay, now one of the important things about making a trap door like this is you'll see that the wire goes this way and this way. When the muskrat goes in, you want the wire to go against his body like this. You don't want it to go against here where it's going to be pulling on his hair or on his body. You want it so you have the smoothest part, so you can see that pretty easily. This part is going to be down, so it's going to be on this side going like this. So what we want to do is we want to bend the wire to make that little step they step on. So I'm just going to count 4 pieces of wire there. I'm going to bend it down. About a 30-degree angle, and I can just come here and kind of check. I want to bend it a little bit more. So I'm just going to stick it over there. And a little bit more. And I like that. That looks good. I might bend it just a little bit more. Too much. I'm going to straighten it out a little bit. Okay, I think that'll do it. Yeah, that'll do it. So, and then I just need to take and get my hog ring pliers. Now, if you have other kind of clamps that you want to use, like a J clamp, you can use a J clamp too, and that makes it a little bit easier. But I found if I just go on the very outside edge here. And clamp it, and don't clamp it too tight. And then go on the other outside edge. I don't know if you can get a close-up of that. But if you do it on the other outside edge, you can get it so that it won't wiggle back and forth too much. And like I said, you don't want to clamp it too tight. You just want to have it clamped tight enough that it makes a good door. Alright, I'm going to finish putting those on there. Put a couple more on here. And that's got it. So, and that door moves really easy. It's really easy to push. It hardly takes any force. Okay, the next thing I'm going to put on here, I'm going to show you, is the handle. Made out of a piece of I have an old wire clothes hanger. There's a piece about, I don't know, you need a piece about a foot long to make a decent handle. So that's about a foot. I'm going to straighten this out with my lineman pliers here. Then I'm going to put some loops on it. So you want to put the handle on there. So let me show you this handle. You want to put the handle on so that it can flop over. Okay, so you want to attach it to the long parts here. You also want to put the handle on so that it's even. So you can see that this handle is hooked onto this one, and it's hooked onto this one because it's 1, 2, 3 from that side, and 1, 2, 3 from this side. So even though it's kind of a crossways like that, and then I went from the center, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and that makes it so that it's balanced, so that when I pick it up, I'm taking it out in the field, it's easy to carry and it's not flopping all around. So you just want to take like your needle nose pliers. Actually, use my alignment pliers. And you want to, I'm going to make my handle first. So I'm going to take a piece about that long and bend it over. About that long. Bend it over. There's no science to this. If you want to measure it, you can measure it. But you just need to have it basically even on each side. Then you want to bend one side this way and one side this way. So I'm going to bend this one this way, make a little hook. And I'm going to bend this one this way and make a hook. Okay, you can see that they're kind of opposite of each other. And then I'm just going to find a place for it to fit. It fits really well right there, so I go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I just take pliers, close that shut, and that makes a good handle. Makes it easy to carry. It doesn't have to be fancy, it just has to work. Like somebody said, if they don't find you handsome, they might find you handy. So, now the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go along and I'm going to bend these things in with my alignment pliers on these little parts here. And when you're putting yours together, you might not have this, but I'm going to bend those together all the way around, and then I'm going to take and put these so they have enough hog rings on there to hold it all together. So I might go every other one or every third one and put those all together. So we'll be right back. Okay, we're just about finished putting our lower hog rings in. And that's it. So let's take a look at it. I got all my hog rings in there. I got my handle on there. The handle is nice and balanced. Got the door in there in the right way. All you need to do is put, if you have to have a trapping number, you can put a trap number on there with a little tag, and you're ready to take this interesting colony trap out and catch a bunch of muskrats with it. And the neat thing about this one is you can set it in deeper water where end will be up and there'll be air. The muskrat can go up there. The other thing I like about this one is it has this little part here where if the muskrat, let's say that it does die and it floats up there, it's going to float up there and kind of get stuck in this place right here, and then more can still come in here without that door being shut and they can't get in. So thanks for joining us as we built a colony trap for muskrats. If you enjoyed this video, please comment, like, and subscribe to our channel. Thanks.